briefly will tell in this talk how it works. Okay. So it is the first application of blockchain technology. Okay, and this is also blockchain 1.0. Ma'am, some sound is coming. Hello. Ma'am, some sound is coming.
Yeah, that is what I request the participants to mute. Please, I have muted. So I will mute everyone. Yeah. Now, Kunwar, you alone have to unmute yourself. Kunwar, you have to unmute your mic because when I mute, everyone will be muted. You have to unmute yourself. Okay, that alone you do it.
Muted, huh? Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so now start now. So, this Bitcoin cryptocurrency. So first, in my talk, I'll just briefly explain about some cryptographic primitives used in the blockchain, and then we'll start the blockchain. Okay. So in any time, if you have any doubt, you can just raise your hand. So first thing is Bitcoin cryptocurrency. What are the properties of the Bitcoin cryptocurrency? So in this Bitcoin cryptocurrency, we don't need any trusted party. Like your rupees and dollar, they need the trusted party. Rupees, we have trusted party like RBI, Government of India. But in this case, you don't need any trusted party. And the decentralized ledger on the internet. So every node will have the ledger. All the transactions from starting 2008 to till now. Okay, so like right now, our ledgers are with the bank. Okay, that is with the trusted party. Here all the ledgers are open. It's with every node. Okay. Second is peer-to-peer network. This you all know. Okay. And in this third or fourth one is very low transaction fee. So if you want to transfer the Bitcoin to your friend, the transaction fee will be very low. Normally, if you want to transfer some money to your friend in the USA, for 40 around, if you might have seen registration fee 40,000. But if you want to transfer 40,000, the transaction fee will be roughly around 3,000 to 4,000. But here, the transaction fee will be very, very, very low. Okay. Next one is not reversible. Once you have sent the money, you have sent the money. You can't revert back. So that is the case here. In the normal transactions, like suppose you have by mistake you have transferred some money to some account, so you can request to the SBI that by mistake I have transferred, please revert back. That revert, it may be reverted, but in the Bitcoin, in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency, it is not reversible. Okay, and as I told you, all the transactions are known to everyone. Okay, so you can known to everyone, and the actual sender and receivers cannot be identified. Yes. So here the transactions is between addresses, and addresses are some unique numbers. So that in the transaction, by name it will not be sent. So like Alice is sending to Bob, it will not be like that. So there will be some address, unique number is sending to another unique number. Okay. So this way anonymity will be there. Okay. 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 So second thing is we'll see the cryptographic primitive here. So first primitive is used is a cryptographic hash function. Okay. So just I'll revise this part. Now you can see what is the cryptographic hash function. The cryptographic hash function is a function which transforms the message M of arbitrary length. This is very very long bit. Okay. and this function transforms this into the 512 bit. Generally, the hash function output is 512 bit, the message digest. So from long, it is transforming to 512 bit. So this may be, you can say 1 lakh bit. Input may be 1 lakh bit, and it is transformed to 512 bit. Okay. So obviously, it will not be one-to-one function. For the one-to-one function, the message size and output has to be same size. Okay. And so this definitely this will be a many-to-one. So there will be more than one message in the message side which will have the same hash. Okay. So this will be there. Now, so if this is there, then what are the properties of cryptographic hash function? So the first property is pre-image resistant. Given this hash algorithms are open. It's known to everyone. Okay, like SHA 512. So it is known to everyone. Given a hash, hard to find a message M such that hash of M equal to H. So given hash algorithm and output, this is the output H. Given the output, it's hard to find the input. Okay, so it's like one-way function. It's like one way. Okay, you can go from M to H, but from given H you cannot go to M. So it should be hard. You can go, but it will take a lot of time. Hard basically means it's not like impossible, but it will take, if you want to do only by trial you can get it, or it will take a lot of time. Okay, so that is this one. Second property is second pre-image resistant. If I give you M1, one message M1 is given to you, you cannot find another M2. It's hard to find M2 such that hash of M2 is same as hash of M1. Okay, so it's hard. Although it is possible, as I told you, it is many-to-one function, so it is possible. But the hash function is designed such a way that to find this kind of M2 given M1, it will take, if you try, it will take many years. It will take thousands of years. So that is the meaning of hard. Okay, it's not like impossible. It's possible, but it will take a lot of time. Okay. Like collision resistance, third part is collision resistance. It's hard to find two messages M1, M2 such that hash of M1 is equal to hash of M2. So it's hard to find two messages which have same hash. So that is called collision resistant. So you have three properties. Okay, so these are three cryptographic hash properties and the security of blockchain based on the second one. So you can see if you have M1 is given to you and it's hard to find M2 such that hash of M1 equal to hash of M2. So these first and second property are used in the security of the blockchain technology. Okay. So now briefly I'll tell about the cryptography. So as you know, maybe some participant may be knowing about cryptography. Those who don't know, just I'll revise it. Okay, so this much cryptography is some basic of cryptography. I'll just revise here. The first thing is symmetric cryptography. As you see, classical cryptography and symmetric cryptography. The symmetric cryptography is basically cryptography in which, before making a secure communication, both parties they have to share a common key. Okay, so this is the prerequisite. Before doing encryption and decryption, you need a shared key. Both parties they have to share a common key. Okay, then they can use symmetric cryptography. A symmetric cryptography, like you might have seen, RC4, AES, DES, they are well known. Okay, so but both the parties they need a shared key. Okay, so now the problem is, and how to share a key? Only way is both parties they have to meet in one place and then share a key. Okay, then you can say this will be our shared key. Now, if the two parties are in the different places, in different countries, how to share? There is no mechanism to make a secure to share a key securely. Okay, so because if you want to share a key through mobile or internet, some may be seeing it. Okay, they can intercept these communications or they can know it. Okay, so there is no mechanism to share a common key. So that is the problem in the symmetric system. Otherwise, symmetric systems are very efficient. The only problem is they have to share a common key. Okay, so this was the problem. So this people were thinking about it that how to, they were thinking about some other mechanism in which the parties, they don't need to share a common key. So then 1976, Diffie and Hellman, the two cryptographers, they gave the idea of public key cryptography. So in this case, both the parties, they don't need to share a common key. Okay, so how it is done, just I'll explain here. So in this case, what they told that every user, they will have two keys. Okay, the first key is public key. So first key, the public key, they have to make it public. So like Kunwar, my public key, just say kunwar@nitd.edu. So this I'll make it public. So I can make it public like this. I'll keep this public key in my website, nitd.edu. In NITD website, I can keep this public key there. Okay, so I have to make it public. Another key is I have to make it private. I should not share this key to anyone else. Okay, so these are the things. Now how to send a confidential message to other party, or you can say how to encrypt and how to decrypt. So what the idea they were given is, you can encrypt. Encrypt is some kind of locking system. Okay, decrypting means some kind of, somebody has encrypted, and decrypting means some kind of opening that lock. So you can think of encryption as a locking and decryption as a opening that lock. Okay, so what they told that you can encrypt using both the keys. You can lock with both keys, public key, private key. Okay, you can do it, but the decryption can be done by the key which is different from the encryption key. So decryption also you can do by both the keys, but the one constant is there. If somebody has encrypted somebody has logged or encrypted the message using public key, then it can be decrypted by his private key, not public key. Okay, if he has encrypted the message using his private key, then it can be opened or can be decrypted by his public key. So that constant they have given. Okay, so this is a system, simple system they have told. Okay, first everyone has to choose two keys, then encryption. You can encrypt with both the keys, but only thing is the decryption key has to be different from the encryption key. This one. So now I want to send a confidential message to you. Okay, what should I do now? So the confidential message, basically the message which only you can decrypt it, then only it will be confidential. Okay, so I should encrypt such a way that can be opened or that can be decrypted by only you. Okay, others they cannot do it. So then it will be a confidential message. So what I'll do is I'll take the message, and I know your public key, and what I'll do is I'll encrypt the message using your public key. Okay, and send it to you. Send it to the internet, and you also. Okay, others also they can intercept. Okay, so who can open it? Who knows the private key corresponding to this public key? Who knows this private key? Only you know it. Okay, only you know the private key corresponding to this public key. Okay, so it basically means only you can decrypt this ciphertext, and you can open the lock. Okay, so this is the confidential message. So if you want to send a confidential message to anyone, you take a message and encrypt using that person's public key. Okay, this is the way. This is the way to send the confidential message. Yeah, this is the graph. So Bob wants to send the confidential message to Alice. What he'll do is he will take Alice public key, encrypt the message, and send it to the Alice. Alice will use his private key and decrypt the message. This is the way, simple way. So okay, this much is. And public key encryption consists of 3 algorithms. Key generation algorithm is randomized one. Different time you may get different private key, public key, and the encryption can be randomized one. So randomized algorithm basically means you have some kind of one-to-many function. Okay, so you have one message. Here the random number will be used. Let's say I want to encrypt one message M. So present time, some random number will use, we'll get the random number, we will have one ciphertext. Okay. Now after 1 hour, I want to encrypt the same message. Now this time different random number will come. So you will get same message, you will get different ciphertext. Okay, that is the encryption, randomized encryption. For same message, different time, you will get different ciphertext. So it's some kind of one-to-many. Okay, so encryption is one-to-many. Same message, it can be many ciphertexts. Okay, so decryption cannot be randomized one. If it is randomized one, it will be ambiguity will be there. So decryption has to be deterministic. Deterministic means one-to-one kind of things. Okay, so it will be same. You can't have one-to-many. Okay, it will not be one-to-many. It will be many-to-one, or output will be one-on-one. So now you have different ciphertext input, and there will not be a random number. It will decrypt to the same message. So all the ciphertext will be decrypted to the same message. Okay, this is called deterministic algorithm. So now, what is the correctness of this one? Obviously, if you decrypt the encrypted message, it has to be message. Okay, that is the correctness criteria of this public key encryption scheme. Okay, so this is a public key encryption scheme. Okay, so you might have known, you might maybe knowing about RSA. If you have someone, if you don't know, so you will not discuss RSA here because we don't have time. So I have given some brief idea of public key cryptography. That is enough for this to understand blockchain technology. Okay, so we are the two popular public key crypto system, or you can say asymmetric crypto system, are RSA and Algorand. Okay. Now, but the blockchain, they use one more crypto system is there, elliptic curve crypto system. Okay. So ECC. So these are three important well-known crypto systems. But this blockchain technology, they use ECC. They don't use RSA and Algorand. They are using ECC only. Okay. Why they are using ECC? We will see this part. So I told you, yeah, I forgot to tell you. Okay. Now, this RSA and Algorand or any other public key crypto systems, they are not efficient. Well, if you are encrypting and decrypting, they are not good. They are not efficient compared to the symmetric crypto system like AES. If you compare with the AES, they are not good. They are worst. Okay. So then, why to use public key cryptography? So the public key cryptography, the main objective is to share a common key. Okay, the objective is to share a common key. Once both the parties have shared a common key, after that they can use the symmetric crypto system. Okay, so what you will do is, you are in the USA, I am in the India. Okay, we want to have a secure communication. Okay, you want to transfer many files. So what you will do is, we are part of the, let's say, public key cryptography. So what you will do? We will use public key cryptography only to share a common key. Once we have shared a common key, after that we will not use it. After that we will use AES to make a secure communication. Okay, so that is generally this happens. So public key cryptography is mainly, it is used only to share a common key. Okay, yeah. So one of the way to share a common key is like this one. You are in the USA, I am in the India. So what I'll do, you trust me, and both are friends. So what I'll do is, I'll choose a key. I'll choose a 128-bit key. Okay, and that key I'll encrypt. That will be my message. 128-bit key I'll encrypt using your public key and send it to you. So you can decrypt this part. You can get that 128-bit key, and that will be our shared key. And after that, we will be using AES and this shared key. We'll be using AES using this shared key. We'll encrypt the message using this 128-bit and using this AES encryption scheme. Clear? Okay, so this is generally it is done. So objective of the public key cryptography is to mainly is to share a common key because they are not efficient. And now you can see the comparison here. So if you take right now, maybe the RSA they are using is 1024 bits. Okay. So if you see here 1024 bits of RSA and 163 bits of ECC, they give the same security level. The security level, if you want to security level, if you want more security, you have to choose more number, bigger numbers. Okay. If you want more security, you have to choose more numbers. Okay. So what I mean is the numbers are in this range, 1024 RSA, and it gives the same security of 163. Okay. They are giving same security level. Now here the numbers are very big. Here the numbers are very small. So obviously the encryption cost or decryption cost in this ECC will be less, and RSA it will be more because their numbers are big. Even the encryption formula is same. Even encryption formula is let's say same. If the numbers are more, the cost will be more. Okay, so that's why ECC is better than the RSA, and it's part of lightweight cryptography. It's part of lightweight public key cryptography. You see 163, 163 is there. Now if you compare with the symmetric cryptography like AES, this is still worse. Now you see 128, and then 128 gives the equivalent security of RSA of 3072. This much more efficient is there, you can see, and the ECC is 256. Okay, so what I'm saying is the symmetric, they are much more efficient, but problem is they have to share a common key, and to share a common key, the public key cryptography is used. After that, one will use the AES to make a secure communication. Okay, this much is enough. Okay, yeah, and another cryptographic primitive is signature used in the blockchain technology, digital signature. Okay, so these hash function and digital signature. Now just I'll tell you the normal signature. What is the normal signature? You can see here the Alice, or you can say director of NIT, she wants to make a signature on the report card of the student. This is the report card. Okay, and now she has some unique handwriting skill. So with that unique handwriting skill, she will make signature on this report card, and this will be the signature. So the report card and the signature. Okay, and if you see here the another student's report card, and this signature will be same. Okay, so the normal signature, I'm talking about normal signature, the signature is independent of the message. The director's signature will be same for all the students' report card. Clear? This is there. This signature. So what the director is using is, she is using her unique handwriting skill. So that is private to him. Some kind of private is there. So others cannot do it. Only she can do it. So this is some kind of private information. Okay, to them. And now what happens is, everyone else, whoever knows the director's previous signature, they can easily verify that yeah, this signature is correct, and they will accept that student's report card. Okay, so everyone else, they can verify it easily. They can verify it. Okay, so this is the normal signature. Clear? On the normal signature, the signature is independent of the message. That thing is there. Okay. Now signature is same. The procedure is same. Only thing is it is digital. Okay, that is not hard. Signature is not there. Okay. So now what Alice will do is, if you want to make a signature on message M, she will use her private key, because you have, this is like handwriting, unique handwriting key that is private to the Alice. Similarly, here she has to use her private key to make a signature on message M. Otherwise, the signature is unique. Okay, so only she can do it. So how she can do it? She has to use her private key. Otherwise, other person can. If you don't make private key here, other person also can make her signature. Okay, so then it basically means he has to make the he has to use the private key and the message. These are two inputs, and then signature for a signature algorithm. These are two inputs. It will give the signature on message. Okay, and same thing. Everyone else, whoever knows public key of the Alice, they can easily verify. So verification, only you need the public key of the person. So this is the digital signature. Okay. Now, the difference between normal signature and digital signature, if you see here the signature depends on the message. It is not independent of the message. It depends on the message. But normal signature, it is independent of the message. So why is the difference? Here, digital signature has to depend on the message. If it suppose if the signature does not depend on the message, so then what will happen? The digital signature is not. It will be like what? It will be some combination of 0 and 1. Since it is the digital signature, it will be some combination of 0 and 1. Now what will happen? That suppose you know the director's signature, digital signature on some message M. Somehow you knew it. The message M, the director's signature is 010110101111. Now, if the signature does not depend on the message, what will happen? You can copy this signature 0101 and you create another message and paste the signature there. Okay, so there will be forgery. Okay, so that's why digital signature has to depend on the message. Okay, this will be so all the digital signature will depend on the message. Okay, so this is the case. And you know what is the purpose of digital signature? To authenticate the message. Basically means the message is sent by the claimed party because the signature is there. Okay, so the main aim is to authenticate the message authentication. Okay, so these are the reasons. So this is the cryptography part. Okay, so any doubt till this point? No doubt. Okay, so this much is cryptography. So we don't need much cryptography to understand the blockchain, or you can say any application of blockchain. Okay. Okay, so now we'll come to the blockchain. So what is the blockchain here? In the blockchain, as you see the name, it is chain of blocks. Okay, this is the first. This is Genesis block. This is first block, second block, third block, and then fourth block, fifth block, something like this. Okay. Now, what is the Genesis block? This Genesis block will be. It is securely placed. Okay, this is not open. This is not open to everyone. So this will be securely placed with the organizer. That is kept secure, and all the other blocks is open. Okay. So now what are different parts of the block? So in the block you will have transactions. So I have transferred 20 Bitcoin to X, then Y has transferred 10 Bitcoin to something like this. So the block will have some transactions. Okay, so how many transactions it will have? It depends on the size. So I think some 1 year back the block size was 1 megabyte. Okay, so in 1 megabyte, how many transactions you can have? That much, whatever the transactions one can have, that much transactions will be there in the block size. It's not like fixed. It depends on the size. Okay, so block size is 1 megabyte. And then this is the transactions will be there. Then here you will have hash pointer. So what is the hash pointer? Hash and address of the previous block. So this will have hash of this block, previous block, and address of this block. Okay, where it is kept. So it's just like a linked list. Okay, so this is hash and address of the previous block. Okay, similarly this one, it will have the hash and address of the previous block. Similarly, this one it will have the hash and address of the previous block. So like this one. Okay, so this part is hash pointer and lower part is transactions. So this is, and some other formalities will be there that I'll tell you. So basically, these are two transactions and the hash and address of the previous block. Clear? So this is the blockchain, chain of blocks. Okay, so now let's see. So now, why it is secure? Why blockchain is secure? Now we'll see this part. Okay, so now let's say in these transactions, I'll change this because this is open to everyone. I'll change this transaction. Instead of a recipient is, let's say X, I am the adversary, I'll put my address there. Instead of X, I'll put my name there. So I'll change it here. So if I change this, if I change this transaction, so basically this whole block will change. Okay, now if this will change, this hash also will change. This hash also will change. Okay, if this hash also will change, so the hash is kept here. Hash is kept here, so that also I have to change it. Otherwise, people will know that somebody has changed this transaction. Okay, so if I want others so that they cannot see the changes, I have to change it here also. I have to change this hash here. So what I'll do is I'll change this one. Now this block is changed. This I have changed something. This block is changed. Okay. So if I want people cannot see these changes, so what I'll do? This block is changed. This hash also changed. I have to change it here. Okay. So what I am saying is that if adversary changes in one transaction, he has to change all the blocks are followed by that block. So that is not possible. You cannot change all the blocks. Okay, that's why the blockchain is called tamper resistant. You can say tamper resistant. You cannot tamper here. If you tamper here, people will know it because blockchain is with everyone. And then if you change, then you have to change it here also. That you cannot change. So many blocks are there. Okay, so this is not possible. Clear? So now, how the hash function is used here? I'll ask a question now. So what I'll do is one block is here. One block is here. Now what I'll do is I'll create a block. I'll create a block in which the X is transferring 5 Bitcoin to me. Okay. Y is transferring 2 Bitcoin to me. Z is transferring 10 Bitcoin to me. I'll create these transactions and create a block such that that block's hash is same as hash of this block. What I've done, I created a block whose hash is same as hash of this block. Okay. Then what I'll do is I'll replace this block by my block. Okay, so what I will do, I will benefit a lot. So many people will be transferring Bitcoin to me. Okay, so this kind of attack is possible. So the question is, can I create such block whose hash is same as this one? Can I create? Any answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, can I create?
Yes, sir.
How? How can I create the block? Okay, so since it is muted, so I leave it. So thing is, I cannot create. It's a hard problem. As you have already seen, the hash function. Hash function, given a message, given a block, one cannot create another block. He can create, but that is a hard problem. It will take many years. Okay. So given this block, it's hard to find another block which has same hash as this block. This basically means the adversary cannot change the block. Okay, adversary cannot change the block. He cannot change the block. Okay, so this is the case. Yeah, so the adversary cannot change the block. So this kind of forgery is not possible because of the cryptographic hash property. Okay, we have seen the secondary images. You have seen the secondary image resistant. It's hard to find, given a message, given a block, it's hard to find another block, another message which has same hash as this one. So this is not possible. So you can see how hash function is used. Hash function makes the blockchain secure. So this is because of hash function only. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's say, let's say one currency. Basically, what is the currency? You have, you might have seen currency basically the money which is separated among the persons, and they trust the signature kind of things. Okay, they trust the money and that's some signature. So let's say you might have seen some kind of currency also in your canteen also. You can see NIT canteen or some other canteens. Okay, so let's say you have taken one dosa and that you have given 50 rupees, and the person the canteen person doesn't have the change. So what do you do? You might have seen, you will write let's say 20 rupees and you will make the signature. So what it means? It basically means that he has to give you the 20 rupees. That paper is 20 rupees worth. Okay. So now what you will do is you may give this 20 rupees to your friend. Yeah, you can take something from that canteen, and the friend will give it to some other one. And finally, one person will go to the canteen and he will show that 20 rupees. You see that 20 rupees, and then he will see the signature, and then he can give the 20 rupees money, or he can give something else. Okay, this is the currency. So the same, this cryptocurrency also works in the same way. Instead of signature here, you have digital signature. The money also is digital. Written there 1 rupee, 1 Bitcoin, and then bottom is signature. Okay, so let's see the hypothetical cryptocurrency. We will give it name as a Gopi coin. Okay, so let's say one person has created a coin. He got the coin, 1 Bitcoin. Some Bitcoin is there. I already agreed on that the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is there, and this belongs to Goofy. So Goofy has 1 Bitcoin. Some Bitcoin is there. Okay. Now he wants to give it to the Alice. Okay. He wants to give this digital coin to the Alice. So what he will do is, here this coin, and he will say pay to Alice. So basically this coin pay to Alice, and then he will make a signature there. Okay, so just like hard paper, he is signing there. So okay, so he will say this coin pay to Alice. This coin pay to Alice, and he will make signature there. So now this coin belongs to Alice. Belongs to Alice. Okay, because this initially it was belonged to Goofy, and Goofy just signed and given to Alice. Okay, now Alice wants to give it to Bob. So what he'll do is, same coin Alice will give you to the Bob. Okay, so these 3 transactions. So Bob, now this coin belongs to Bob. So what is the proof that this coin belongs to Bob? Bob will show this transaction and this transaction. Okay, so you'll give the link to this transaction, and to confirm that whether this is correct or not, this transaction gives a link to this one. Okay, so this shows that this coin belongs to Bob. Okay, so this is the digital coin. Okay, so what is the problem with this one now? See, this is a digital coin. This coin is a digital coin. I got the coin, I'll sign it, digital sign, and give it to you. You will digital sign and give it to someone else. That's what digital coin will work. Okay. Now only this is good. It will work. And you can see what type of problems can come here. Same coin, because it is not hard. It's not hard currency. I can, if I have 100 rupees note, I cannot. If I want to do some double spending, I have to make it same 100 rupees coin. Okay. But then it is not like it is digital here. Everything is just some kind of number 001 there. Okay. So what I do, I have this money, and same money I have Alice, same money I have given to Bob, and same money I give it to Chuck. This money I got, again I sign it and give it to Chuck. So this is called double spending. So Alice is making double spending. So that is the problem here. Otherwise, this is good. This is cryptocurrency. It's good, simple, but problem only thing is double currency is there, double spending is there. Okay. So now we'll use blockchain to remove this double spending. Okay. So the blockchain will be used. So this is nothing but centralized Goofy coin. So now what you will do is, our idea of cryptocurrency is same. We got the coin, signed it, give it to someone else. that will you will take, and he has the money. You will take another money also, then sign and give it to someone else. So that is the currency. Same idea, but only thing is now everything will be centralized. All these transactions will be in some place, central place. That is called blockchain. So all the transactions, some transactions will be in this block, another transaction will be in this block, another transaction will be in this block. Why it is centralized? So that no one can do the double spending. Okay, let us say already some transactions are there. Alice has sent it to Bob. Bob has given to someone else. Now suppose Bob has given to Alice. Okay. Now Bob again wants to give it to Chuck. Okay. So when he wants to give it to Chuck, people will know that because it will be kept in the centralized place. Okay. People will see whether this coin Bob has, whether he has already given to someone else, or whether he has already spent that coin or not. That one can check from the centralized place. Easily it can be checked. Okay, you can search and then easily it can be checked. Because it's linear, you can check. Okay, so that is that. So now if you see the centralized Goofy coin, same idea, previous one, and all the transactions we are keeping into the central place so that no one can make the double spending. So this is called cryptocurrency Bitcoin. So Bitcoin works in this way. You have coin, sign, and keep it into the central place. Okay, so this is the basic idea of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. And then what is the central place? This is blockchain. You will have transactions, then you can see already has. Okay, some other formalities are there. This is the basic structure. Now we'll see some. Now we see input from where he got the 5 Bitcoin, and output Bob's address. You see the address whom I am transferring this coin. Okay, and then you will have some log timing will be there, the hash of previous, and then signed by the Alice. Signature will be there. This is a rough block. So I'll see some more formalities. Yeah. So in this is the, you can say, the block. Block you will have hash of the previous block, timestamp, time at what time this block is created, nonce, some unique number that will see why it is there, and then you have root hash. Why this happens, we will see. Now let's say the block has 4 transactions. Okay, so you can keep all the transactions linearly in the block. 1 transaction, 2 transactions, 3 transactions, 4 transactions. This you can do it. Or when you do it linearly, and if I say my transaction is there in the blockchain. Okay, so if I have to convince people that my transaction is there, how much time it will take? He has to search one by one. So how much time it will take? If you have n transactions are there, worst case it will take big of n, because he has to search one by one. Okay, so what they have given is they have given the idea of Merkle tree idea. It is called, this was invented by the Merkle scientist. This is called Merkle tree. So you have 4 transactions. Okay, let's say n transactions. So you take, they are kept, and this transaction 1, second, third, fourth. Let's say 4 are there. So you find the hash of this one. This will be hash of this one. Hash of this one. And then hash of these 2 is here. Hash of these 2 will be here. And the hash of these 2, that is called root hash, and that is kept into the block. Okay, so you have these kind of things. 4 transactions are kept in the blockchain, and again this root hash will be there. Root hash will be there. Why they have kept these kind of things? So that if you want to convince that my transaction is there in that block number 5, it will not take big of n time. It will take only log n time. How? So you will note down this one for your, let's say your transaction is this one, and if your transaction is there this one, you will note down this hash, not this hash, this hash 00. Transaction is here, hash 00. This will note down, and this will note down. Okay, these 2 things you will note down to convince the person that this is your transaction. This is your transaction. Okay, so now if you note down this one, easily you can convince it. So what you do is you tell him the person that this is my transaction TX1, and you also tell him, give him the hash 00 and hash 1. Okay, so what he'll do, you have given him this transaction, you will compute the hash, he got this one, and then you have given this one, you will combine the hash of these, you will find the hash of these, he got this value. Now you have given this one, you will combine, you will find the hash of these two. Okay, if that hash is equal to the root hash, then you will be convinced that this is your transaction. If that thing is not equal, then you will say this is not your transaction. Clear? So just and you see how much time it will take. You have given two values. He did only in 2 rounds. He was convinced. In 2 calculations, you can say height of the tree. So height of the tree, height of the complete binary tree is log n. If you have n nodes are there, and leaves are there, so height of the tree will. So it will log n time. So it will be big of log n. One kind. Yeah. So this is the Merkle tree. So this is the Merkle tree they are using. Okay. Okay. So now the problem is we got the idea. We got the idea for the cryptocurrency. What is the cryptocurrency idea? You got the currency and sign it, give it to someone, and these transactions are kept in the centralized place so that nobody can make the double spend. That is there. Now the point is only one extra thing is there. So the point is who will add the new transactions into the blockchain, into the centralized place, chain of blocks. Centralized place is blockchain. Who will add? Simply you cannot say that anyone can add it. So what will happen? People will arbitrarily, they want to create problems to others. They want to the system not to work. So what they will do? They will arbitrarily create the transactions and they will add it to the blockchain. Okay, and then what will happen? People will verify. But it will be added and it will be verified only. But the verifier persons they have to spend a lot of time for the verification. Clear? So for that, what in the blockchain is they have given the consensus algorithm. Okay. So what is the consensus algorithm? What is the consensus about this one is that everyone cannot add block into the blockchain. One person will have will have the authority to add block into the blockchain, who will solve this hash puzzle. Okay, now let's see what is the hash puzzle. It's just like lottery. It's not like it's a mathematical puzzle, something like that. It's not like it doesn't depend on the ability. Okay, it doesn't depend on the ability. It's just a hash puzzle, just as a lottery kind of things. Okay, so what is the hash puzzle? First I explain the hash puzzle. So hash function is already we know is one way. Okay, there is no one can find the back way. Okay, now in the block you have transactions and you have previous hash. One nonce, I told you one nonce is there. So nonce is up to you. So change the nonce. Okay, so you have this hash. So you have to find the nonce. These are in the block. These are fixed. Transaction is you have already chosen the transaction. Hash is previous block. These are fixed. You can't do anything. Only nonce you can change it. Okay. So what you do is you have to choose nonce such that hash of nonce, previous hash, and all these transactions is very small. Clear? So you have to choose nonce such that this is very small. So initially the target output is this much. The organizer they kept this. So if you can choose nonce, if you can find the nonce whose hash of this one is less than this target space, then you have solved the puzzle. Okay, so that is the puzzle. Now initially the target was this much. This is big number. Side also target was this much. Okay, but now see, just with time, more better computers are coming up, so that this solving the hash value will be becoming faster and faster. Okay, so that's why with time the target has decreased. Now the target is this much from here. This much. Okay, so slowly when the time progress, the targets also they are reducing the target, so that it is difficult to find the nonce whose hash is in this one. Okay, hash output is this much 512 bits. They are telling you that you have to find the nonce which is less than this one. Okay, so this is hard problem. Okay, so if many people will try, so one per person will get the lottery. So like it is like this, that only. If everybody will start try, maybe 2 crore, maybe many people will try, and then after some time, one person will get, will be able to solve this puzzle. Okay, this is just some designers in their mind. This puzzle was just like a lottery system. Okay, okay. So this is the puzzle. Whoever will solve this puzzle, you will have the right to add that block into the blockchain. So everyone cannot add it. Okay. So why he will do it? That we'll see now. This is called consensus algorithm, and there are so many consensus algorithms, and in the Bitcoin they are using proof of work (POK) consensus algorithm. This is one of the consensus algorithm. Okay. So now what happens? The people will send their transactions. New transactions are broadcasted to all nodes. So I want to send 2 Bitcoin to someone else. I'll send the transaction to all the nodes. Similarly, other persons, they will send the transactions. So all these transactions will be the transaction pool, where all the transactions will be there. So what one person, those who want to add block into the blockchain, what they will do is they will some special nodes, some people, those who have good computational power, some nodes. Okay, what they will do is they will track these transactions and they will make some transactions, because the block size is 1 megabyte. Okay, so maybe they will choose, let's say, 10 transactions, and from the 10 transactions they will make a block, candidate block. Okay, and they will try to, for this block, they will try to solve the puzzle. As I told you, they have to choose the nonce such that hash of this block will be less than the target. Okay, they have chosen the only transactions, everything is fixed, and then hash of previous one is fixed, only nonce, time, everything is fixed, nonce. So nonce they will choose and find the hash. If he is able to find the, if he is able to choose the nonce whose hash is less than the target, okay, then it basically means he has solved the puzzle. And if he has solved the puzzle, then he will be able to add that block into the blockchain. So that block will be added to the blockchain, and that node, the person that is called miner, will be rewarded presently 12.5 Bitcoin. And you see, 1 Bitcoin is $11,850. This much money is rewarded to him. Okay, so starting when Bitcoin was started in 2008 by Nakamoto. Okay, so that time this reward money was 50 Bitcoin. So after the designers, they have decided that after 4 years the reward money will be reduced by half. So from 8 to till 12, reward money was 50. Then 12 to 16, the reward money was 25. Now 16 to 20, the reward money is 12.5. So maybe this year end, maybe in the 20, the reward money will become half of this one, 6.25. Okay, so every 4 years they are going to reduce the reward. Okay, so why this is, so that the motivate the honest person to solve the puzzle. It motivates the honest person to solve the puzzle, and so that he will be able to add the block into the blockchain. Otherwise, why you will solve the puzzle? If there is no benefit, then why the honest person will try to solve the puzzle? Will try to add block into the blockchain. So this is the motivation. Okay. Now this is the case. Then what happened? Once he solved the puzzle, you will give the solution and send it to all the nodes. Okay. What other nodes will do? They will see the transactions in that block and they will check the validity, whether the transactions are valid or not. If they are, if the transactions are valid, they will add that block into the blockchain. Okay, and then they will accept their acceptance. This is the way it works. Now, this proof of work consensus algorithm. Problem is there. You see, I have slide or not? Okay, I don't have slide here. Okay, so I just tell you. If you see this the proof of work, everybody is trying to solve the puzzle. So many companies are completely dedicated for this work to solve the puzzle. Okay, many companies in the cold area of China and cold area of Europe or northern area of Europe, they are completely 24 hours. They are solving this puzzle. Okay, to get this much money. If they solve one puzzle, they'll get $11,850. And one block in every 10 minutes, roughly on average, every 10 minutes, one block is added into the blockchain. Okay, so in 1 hour you can say 6 blocks. So if you are able to solve 6 puzzle, okay, in 1 hour, 6 puzzle will be there. Out of 6 in 1 hour, suppose you are able to solve 3 puzzle, you will get this into 3 in one. Okay, so you have 24 hours. Okay, so in 1 day, let's say, how many puzzles will be, how many blocks will be there? 24 into 6. These many blocks will be there. And out of this, if you are able to solve, let's say 2, then in 1 day you are getting this much money, 22,000, sorry, more than 23,000 around. So this much money you are getting. Even you are able to solve only one block in 24 hours. 24 out of 24 into 6. These much blocks are added in 1 day. Out of this one, if you are able to solve only one, even then also you will get this much money. So that, okay, so there are so many dedicated companies are there which are solving this puzzle. So some are solved, some are here in the China, some are in the Europe, some are maybe in USA, and some maybe small, maybe some other countries. Okay, so everybody is trying to solve the problem. So if you try, there will be electricity will be required. They have kept supercomputers, they have kept parallel computing computers to solve this puzzle. Okay, so it requires electricity. Okay, it requires electricity. So if you see, there is some analysis that the electricity required for 1 year per year to solve these puzzles. Okay, to solve these puzzles, because everybody is spending. And finally, one person will get it, but everybody is trying. It's not only one person is trying, and so many people are trying, but one person will get it. Okay, so the total electricity spent used to solve the puzzle in 1 year is basically the electricity requirement of one country, like New Zealand. So they say Hungary. So that much electricity is used to solve this puzzle. Okay, so because of that, this is they say that this is the disadvantage of proof of work. A lot of electricity is wasted, and you can say because of a lot of electricity is wasted, so Earth will become more warm. Okay, so this is that. So maybe people are trying for some other consensus algorithm, like one of the algorithms, proof of stake, that POS. That is another consensus algorithm. So there are so many things, but this is what widely used consensus algorithm. Okay, this one. So this is the Bitcoin. Okay, so now the last one slide is wallet. So as I told you, you might have heard about this. Bitcoin is used by the you can say used in the drug, all these things, many other things, because of its anonymity property. It is not anonymous, but it is, you can say, pseudonymity. Okay, so it's not completely anonymous. So why it is anonymous? thing is like this. It uses ECC. Okay, so you have private key, then everybody will have private key, and they will compute public key, and then they will compute hash of public key is the address. Okay, so what is the address is basically hash of your public key. So you will choose your private key, public key, then you do hash of public key. So if you know the address is one way, if you know that somebody knows the address, you cannot compute your public key because this is one way only. Reverse way is not allowed. Okay, clear? So this is, so what you are doing is, what people are doing is that here the by name the transactions are between the addresses, not by names. Okay, so the address, let's say address, what is the some number will be there, some unique number 1001 or something, is transferring money to another address. Okay, so this way anonymity is there. Okay, so directly my name is not there, nothing is there. Okay, so I have, so this address has transferred money to this one. Okay, so now not this way, this is one of the way to make it anonymous. Okay, now suppose sometimes what happens that I am using my address regularly, so people may know that this address belongs to me. Okay, so the anonymity will be lost. Okay, so what they have done is, in the Bitcoin, this part is there, the address part is there. Then with this one, what they given is, one can create many addresses. I can create one more private key, public key, then address. Private key, public key, address. Private key, public. So I can create 100 of addresses. And sometimes I'll use this address. Sometimes I'll use another address. Sometimes I this one. So this will become. So this is the way to make it anonymous. Okay. So this way they have made it. They are trying to make it anonymous. Okay. This is the way. First, what is the way? Address they are using, and then you can create many addresses. You can use hundreds of thousands of addresses, and all these addresses and private key will be in your wallet. So you'll have software things where, and the second thing is that no. So this is my address, and someone has given the Bitcoin, 5 Bitcoin to my address. What is my address? Let's say my address is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So this is my address, and someone has given, he has sent the money to my address. Okay, to my address. Clear? Now I want to spend that money. I want to spend that money. Okay, I need to, because that money belongs to me, this address. Now how can I spend money? I can spend that money. I can give that money to someone else if I will be able to sign. Okay, so if I know, as you know, signature requires what? Private key. Okay, so if I know the private key corresponding to this address, that is this one. If I know private key corresponding to this address, then only I will be able to sign it. Okay, so what I'm saying is, in the Bitcoin, your wallet is address and corresponding private key. This is your wallet. If you lost your private key, the money is gone. Then you will not be able to make a signature corresponding to the address. So you have 100 addresses, then you will have 100 private keys. That you have to store someone else. Okay, and if somebody has transferred the money on this address, and if you want to spend, if you want to use that money, you have to make signature, and the signature requires private key. Okay, so you have to use this private key to make the signature on this address. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so this is the wallet. So what is the wallet here? Wallet, nothing is there, some currency, nothing is there. So in this Bitcoin, the wallet is collection of, you can say, mapping of address, private key, address, private key. Okay, somebody has given the money to this address. You want to spend, you have to use that corresponding private key. So this is it. Okay, this is the Bitcoin wallet. Okay, so this is the complete picture of Bitcoin. Okay, so maybe some may want to ask some question like forking. This may happen. So let's say we have already 3 blocks are already this there. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now fourth block wants to add, fourth block to be added. There may be possibility of forking. What happens that, let's say, that in the same time, two persons, they have solved the puzzle. A and B, both have solved the puzzle same time. Okay. Then what is that? Both persons, what is the procedure? Procedure is this one, these steps. Both persons will broadcast their solution on the network. Okay, so you will say that I have solved this puzzle. You will say that I have solved this puzzle. The nodes will accept the first solution they hear and reject others. So the nodes, they have to follow this procedure. Whichever the solution they get first, that they have to accept, and others they have to reject. Other solution they have to reject. So what will happen? You can see both have solved around same time. So you see these nodes will get this B solution first, and these nodes will get A solution first. So what they will do? They will accept this block, A block. So these nodes will accept block A, and these nodes will accept block B. So this forking has taken place. Okay, forking. But blockchain has only one path. It cannot have two ways. Blockchain is chain of blocks. It cannot have two ways. So how this will be removed? Okay. So thing is that next time, let's say next time somebody solves the puzzle, only one person solves the puzzle. Okay. So then at that time, everyone will use that one. Another thing is that nodes always switch to the longest chain they need. Okay. So next time only, let's say this side someone has solved. So everybody will add this one. Okay. Then now this B block, those who have added this one, they have to follow the longest path. So what do they do? They have to remove this. So this will be considered after. Okay. So what is the transaction in this block will be called abandoned one. So this transaction will be invalid, which are in this block. Okay. That is called abandoned orphaned block. And although those transactions later on can be used for next block, it's not like, but right now it is not valid. Okay. So this will be they will be used for next block. Okay. And now if you are thinking about this one, already this block is added, transactions are made. Transactions are made, then it is made, already transfers are made, then it is orphaned. That kind of questions may come. Okay. So things are like this one here. The transactions are not final till, like here, this block. This transactions in this block are not transferred till there is 6 more blocks are there after this block. Then the transaction of this block will be made final. This will be done. Okay. Till 6 more block will come. Immediately it will not be done because some kind of forking kind of things, this will be abandoned. And if you do immediately if you do the transfer and later on this is abandoned, then problem will come. Okay. So the transfers or the transactions will be executed. I will say transactions will be executed only when transaction in this block will be executed only when after these 6 blocks are added into the blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After that, this will be executed. For this one, after 6 blocks will be executed. Okay, so this is the process. Clear? Okay. So, ma'am, I have time, or should I leave for questions? Hello, ma'am. Whether I have time?
15 minutes are there.
So
Yes.
15 more minutes are.
Yeah, 15 more.
Yeah, should I continue or should I?
You can continue. You can continue.
Okay. Okay. So this first part is over. So I have this. Okay. So just I'll take another slide. This is not. Let's take another slide. Okay, so just we have time, so we have 15 minutes more time. So just I'll see the first part was blockchain 1.0. Okay, so blockchain 1.0 is basically was for only for cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. Okay, now later on people, the cryptographer, or you can say scientists, they realize that this blockchain has many other applications also. Not like only it has application in cryptocurrency. So they say it has many applications. So in 2014, IBM and others, they invented Ethereum blockchain. Okay, they invented Ethereum blockchain. Swiss no-profit organization, they invented Ethereum blockchain. Okay, what is Ethereum blockchain? Ethereum is a decentralized, obviously blockchain, everything is decentralized, there is no centralized thing. Okay, it's a decentralized platform that runs a smart contract. So they have added in the Bitcoin, there is no contract, there is no smart contract. So the programs were there, but one can do the program is basically to add the numbers and to put into the stack, pop, these things are there. They cannot do looping system, they cannot do complex calculations. Okay, that was there. So what in the blockchain 2.0, the first was the Ethereum, they kept one more thing, blockchain, and then they kept smart contract. They kept a smart contract. So we'll see what is the smart contract. That runs, applications that runs exactly as programmed. So there is program. Smart contract is basically programmed without any possibility of downtime, censorship, fraud, because there is no trusted party. So for fraud possibilities are there. So you have to be careful while using the blockchain, because there is no trusted party. You cannot claim. There is no court. There is no court. This person has done something wrong. You can't say anything. Okay, so for fraud possibilities are there. So your program has to be very good. Whatever you do, it has to be correct. Okay, because later on you cannot go to court that this party has cheated me, all these things. There is no court. There is no trusted party. Okay. Okay, so this enormous, powerful shared global infrastructure that can move value around and represent the ownership of the property. So people thought that this blockchain has many other applications. So they wanted to so they created this Ethereum blockchain. Okay. Okay. So as I told you, Ethereum blockchain 2.0, the most popular developing smart contract is Ethereum is a public. So public and private blockchain is basically like Bitcoin is public blockchain. Anyone can join. Any node can join the blockchain. That is called public blockchain. Private blockchain, Hyperledger, something like that. So that you need some permission to join that blockchain. That is called private blockchain. So Ethereum can be private blockchain, public blockchain. And second thing is it has built-in Turing complete language to allow writing a smart contract. Okay, Turing complete, as you know, C++ Turing complete, Java Turing complete. Turing complete basically means with that language you can do anything. Whatever the normal algorithm can do, that language you can do anything, any calculations you can do. Okay. So now Ethereum virtual machine is used to execute the scripts. And in this Ethereum, they used, you may need many applications, you may need currency also. Okay, so they used Ether as cryptocurrency in Ethereum network. Okay, not Bitcoin. So they have created their own currency that is called Ether. So Ether is also one of the widely used cryptocurrency. Okay, so this Ether they have used. Okay. Let us see. No, already we have discussed the blockchain. So the blockchain, whatever we discussed, same blockchain. There is a blockchain here also. The thing is different. Maybe some small something will be there, but idea, everything is same. Now the extra thing they have kept in the Ethereum is smart contract. That is the extra thing that we will see. So now let's see what is the traditional contract. Okay, so that smart contract has many applications. Okay, so what is the contract? What is the contract? You see, in the traditional contract, two parties are there. They want to make a contract, like house owner or tenant. They have some contract, so something like that, or maybe more than two parties. They want to have some contract. So what they will write the contract, they will decide the contract, and they'll give it to the audit person. So audit will refine that contract, and then you will explain every party about the contract. Okay, and then this contract will be there in the safe place, maybe with the government office, something like that. It will be kept with the trusted party. Okay, so now two parties, they have contract here. Now let's say one party, he has interpreted hello, one party, they have interpreted the contract in certain way. Okay, he has, because the contract is written, so interpretation, there may be many interpretation. There may not be one interpretation. So he may have one interpretation. He interpreted in certain way, and accordingly he has acted. Okay, he has made some action accordingly. So what will happen? Maybe other party, he didn't like it. He said, no, this is wrong interpretation. Then what will happen? The execution will be in the court. This party will go to the court. Then you say, then court will decide whether this interpretation is correct or not. Okay, if the interpretation is correct, then you say, okay, is it correct? It is correct. Otherwise, you will say, revert back. If the interpretation is not correct, then you say, whatever you have done, whatever actions you have made, that is not correct. So you have to revert it. So revert option will be there. So you can say in traditional contract, you will have there may be more than one interpretation. Okay, and then again thing is, revert back will be there. If your interpretation is not correct, you have acted in that way, then you may have to revert back also. And then there may be punishment also. If you have done something wrong against the agreement, the judge may punish you also. Okay, these things are there. So punishment, interpretation, revert back, that will be there. Now let's come to the smart contract. So smart contract is some kind of code basically. Okay, so it's some kind of, so the smart contract idea you can think of as this. He has one, Nick Szabo, he gave the idea, although the idea is very old. Szabo gave the idea in 1994. He gave the idea, but the implementation was not there. The only idea was there. So what the idea was there? Let's say the idea was, he gave the idea of car. Okay, so there can be some agreement, smart contract in the code. Contract is smart contract. Okay, between the car owner and the seller, the dealer. Okay, and the car owner has paid some money, and some money he has to pay as a EMI. Monthly he has to pay EMI. So they can have one code. You can write some code, C++ code, something as an agreement. Every month you will pay the money paid this month. Okay, this month, so he has to pay money for next, let's say 10 years. This month paid, okay. If any month it is not paid, warning will be given to you. Electronically, warning can be given to you. You have not paid. In two consecutive, code may be like this. In two consecutive months, if EMI is not paid, so what you do is, everything will be electronically connected. So what they will do is, automatically it will lock the car. Okay, so the car also will be part of blockchain. So maybe it will automatically lock the car. And third month again it doesn't pay, then maybe the dealer can come there, he can take the car. So he gave this idea. So if whether there can be some smart contract possible or not. So that time it was not possible. Why it was not possible? This contract is basically code, C++ code. Let's say C++. The code is here, Solidity language. You can say code something, C++ code. This month, this year, yes, paid. Input will come as somebody will send the transaction, somebody send the money. Yes, paid. The contract will say yes, okay, no problem. Next one. This is the code basically. So where you will keep this code? You can't keep, see, hard contract is difficult to forge because already the parties, they have signed it. You have to create, if you want to forge that contract, you have to create new contract, then you have to get signature from all the parties. It is difficult. Okay, and that those hard contracts generally is kept in the safe place. Maybe government office of the government of India, DM's office. Okay, something is okay there, but the contract which is in the code form, anyone can change it. So tomorrow I can change the code. Nobody will know this. One is simple code is there. Okay, so those things are there. So now this code, when blockchain came, you got the place where nobody can tamper it. Before blockchain, there was no place for the code which cannot be tampered. Okay, so now you got the blockchain is basically one place where nothing can be tampered. That is the blockchain. Okay, so what you do is you can keep the smart contract into blockchain. That's all. So now nobody can change it. So it worked. Okay, so so once blockchain came, immediately the smart contract also changed. Although idea was very old, and as of 1994, the Sebo Jabo, he gave the idea of smart contract. Okay, so now this smart contract is, what is smart contract? If you see the previous, same as previous one, traditional contract is same. This is the contract here. Everything is same. Now difference is that it is software program. It is program, and again parties, they will agree on this software program, and they will give it to the audit person. Audit person will say, yeah, this looks correct, or so whatever it is. So this will be correct. Then it will be kept. It will be instantiated, or it will be executed. Okay. Now, while execution, you can see there will be only one interpretation. The code, because the code is there. The code will run only in one way. There will not be many interpretation of the code. Okay, that is the one thing. There, previous traditional one, you have more than one interpretation. Okay, then yeah, it is not reversible. Once that code is executed and it has given money to you, that is okay. That is okay. So that it's not reversible. Code is executed, the action cannot be reversible, and then this is autonomous. There is no third party. There is no person to punish you, even if it is wrong. So whatever it is. Okay. These are different. Okay, so this is a program execution. Only one interpretation, not reversible, autonomous. Previous case, we have more number of interpretation, and reverse can be reversible and autonomous. So these are smart contract. Now I come to this one. More formally, we will define the smart contract. It was given by Nick Szabo. Okay, so what is the smart contract? It's an executable code that runs on the blockchain. So as I told you, they wanted one safe place to keep this code. Otherwise, some people can tamper this code. So blockchain was the tamper resistant. So they runs on the blockchain to facilitate, to execute and enforce the agreement between the untrusted party. Parties, they don't trust each other, but they will agree on this code. Okay, without the involvement of trusted party. So definitely this is the without trusted party, trusted third party. Okay. The smart contracts can be called through transactions. Okay, so the everything. So inside the blockchain, you cannot whatever you want to keep inside the blockchain. It has to be through transaction only. Transactions will be sent, and some transactions will make one block, and block will be added into the blockchain. So that is the problem. The smart contracts are irreversible and immutable. You cannot change it. If you change it, people will know it. As I already told you, if you change the smart contract, the block will change, then people will know it. Something is changed. Okay, because hash is kept in some other place. Okay, so now you see, this is the block first, second, third, fourth one. So these blocks are added. Inside this block, your smart contract is there. Okay, so the smart contract, what is the input? The users, the input can be money, output can be money, input can be data, output can be data. So these are the things smart contracts are. Okay, so this is the mind block, the next one. Clear? So the smart contracts are kept inside the block, and the input for the smart contract can be money, or data. Output can be money or data, and there can be many smart contracts. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this Solidity is used. Solidity language is used, and the Solidity also is an object-oriented language, and you can say is similar to C++, Java. Okay, this is not. Let's say one smart this small contract, counter contract. So Pragma, Solidity, this one. So like you have C++, the directive will be there. Is the directive basically. Okay, we will see this part. And then you have private contract like class C++. You have say class. You have private contract counter. And then you have private variables, and then private variables, public variables, internal variables, external variables like Java, C++. Here also private variables, public variables, same thing. You see this, what is doing public variable. Public variables, whoever has access to this blockchain or smart contract on the blockchain, they can access this function also. Okay, this is about. If you write public, private, then they cannot access this one. So only the functions which are inside this counter they can have access. Okay, public means anyone can access. So this is the same as C++. Now I have defined this one. First thing is the directives. Okay, so the versions they will write it. The first part is the major version 4 point, and this is the minor build up. So the major version is now it is 5, not 4. So presently it is 5 point something. So I have not updated. So this is 4 is the major one. Okay, this is the functions. As I told you, many functions will be there. Public, internal, same as this one, and default will be public here. So in this case, default function is if nothing is given public, and default variable is internal. Okay, so internal already you may be knowing, not knowing. Internal is this one. Means that can be within the current contract, any other contracts. Okay, inheritance will be there. So any other contract which inheritance like in the C++, Java. Mapping. So there will be a mapping key value and value pair. So that kind of mapping also will be there. So same. Now constructor. Okay. You know C++ constructor will be there. Okay. So in other language, constructor is executed whenever a new object is instantiated, created. You might have seen class, then you say student, then you say student S1. Whenever your S1 object is created, then that time automatically the constructor will be executed. Okay. Yeah. So similarly here also, not completely, a little bit different here, because however in Solidity, whenever the smart contract is deployed into the blockchain, okay, whenever the smart contract is deployed into the blockchain, okay, when the block which contains the smart contract is added into the blockchain, that time this constructor function is instantiated or executed or called. That is the difference. There is no object kind of things. Okay. There will be a maximum one constructor. Doesn't return the data explicitly. Something will be there, but explicitly it doesn't return. Same name as contract, but now in the 5 point something, the constructor word will be there. But initially it was the same name, the way it's C++. Let's say this is the constructor. This is the constructor. Once this is deployed, count will become 0. Okay, so this is the contract. Like clear? Yeah. So in this already we have discussed. In this same also in the Ethereum. The only thing is Ethereum that it is rewarded 5 Ether. So their reward will be, they are also using proof of work. Proof of work. They are using also proof of work. Same. And the same puzzle one has to solve. Somebody solves the puzzle, he will be rewarded with the 5 Ether. And other will accept if the transactions are valid. Same thing. And if you see the disadvantage of proof of work, as I told you, requires huge amount of energy. So 54 terawatt, I think, per year is required. And this much requirement is, which is the electricity requirement of a New Zealand. So this much electricity they are taking. Okay, that is the disadvantage of proof of work. So what people are thinking about. Maybe the Ethereum, maybe after some time, it may use another consensus algorithm, which is called proof of stake. This stack, I think this is spelling is wrong here. There is STKE. Sorry. I put here Q and stack. Okay, stake, proof of stake. Okay, that is there. What it means basically, attributing mining power to the proportion of coins held by the miners. Okay, for example, so who has more mining power? Who can add block in the blockchain? Those who has more coins. That is the meaning. So let's say one example. Suppose Alice has 20% of total coin. He has 20% of the total ether. Bob has 50% of total ether. So what will be given? Alice will be given 20% of total nodes. Let's say so 100 nodes are there. He will be given, because he has a 20% ether, so he will be given 20% of the node. And similarly, Bob will be given 50% of the node. Okay. So like this one, there will be so many nodes will be there. And out of these nodes, one node is chosen randomly, and that will be the mine. Clear? And then that person, that node will have the right to add the block into the blockchain. Okay, clear? So what it means basically here? It basically means the person who has more money, will have more right, will have the higher probability to add block into the blockchain. Those who have 50% of the coin, so what is the probability that he will be able to add block into the blockchain? 50%, because he has the 50%. Here under him, 50% nodes are there. Yeah, this one. So, and in this case, nothing is required, no electricity, nothing is there. Simple calculations. Okay, so that much energy will be saved. Okay, so now why this is required? So, what the thing is that, see, if Bitcoin is there, and you have Bitcoin, you have Ether, all these things are there. Okay, so now let's say I am having 30, 20, 50% of Ether. Okay, so what will happen if I am having 50% of Ether? Now let's say one Ether is let's say $50,000. Let's say. Now suppose tomorrow the price on the Ether goes down, like the Bitcoin is going up and down. If it goes down, tomorrow let's say one Ether becomes $10,000. And who will lose? I have 50% of Ether. I will lose it. Okay. So the idea is, those who have money, those who have more Ether, they will not try to destroy this system. They will try to make this system more better. Okay. So that's why this idea was given. So they will try responsibly. More better, they want to make a means, they will try more responsible. They will not do arbitrary things, because now they have the more power to add block into blockchain. If they do arbitrarily, tomorrow the Ether goes down, they will be in the lose. They will lose. Okay, so this is the thing. So this is the idea. Why why they should have the more right to add the block into blockchain. Same thing here. Addresses, I told you addresses. Now in this case, the contract, this account will be there. Name to change address is account. So here now things are, you have one individuals are there. Okay, individuals, they have the address, they have the account. Address is account. In which address you are putting the money, from which address you are, or account. Here the name is changed. Account and address both are here. Address is changed by account. So account is there. Okay. Now in this account, now not only individuals have account, the contract also have the account. So two things are there. One more, individuals and contract, they have also account. Okay. So account and wallets. So wallets not only for individual, the account is basically, account is not for individual, but also, so you have account two kinds: externally owned accounts by the person, and contract accounts owned by the contract code. Okay, this allows for intersection with the blockchain wallet. Another thing is wallet, stored transfer.